Daily recap for February 21st, a super late recap. I didn't do the first one. I didn't do it when I usually do it because our power actually went out for like over 3 hours, pretty much in the whole county area that I'm in. And of course, right when the power goes out, I check my phone. It's at 3%. So grabbed one of the studio lights I use and basically sat and read for like 3 hours till it turned back on. And then when I recorded the first video, it didn't have sound. So this whole week has been kind of killing my productivity for sickness in the family and just overall just bleh. Anyways, top it to it. Today was a good day. The market was a lot trendier, a lot easier price action. The one thing that was a little bit of a bummer is we did have to cut our arc swings. The breakdown on the 65-minute was calling for a necessity to cut. Did cut pretty much at break even though. Microsoft was quick to step out of the way of this with the weakness on SPY building. We did end up having relative strength from both Microsoft and Apple for the rest of the day, which kind of gave a signal to go for some SPY calls. Now, this was the major error of the day, just a goofy one. I think I misclicked the hotkey. I was live in the chat with people calling out longs on SPY. The reason for that, and I think it's important to cover, like why the price action for this week in this market's been really difficult, but today was very classic, easy price action, right? You get the sell-off, the quick sell-off to start today. We put in some scalps on the puts for the SPY, made a good amount of money shorting Palantir as well. My target was 99, ended up going all the way to 95. Didn't chase it, didn't roll it. I really actually wanted to see some support develop around there, which it did. Almost took some calls. Be looking at it tomorrow to kind of see which direction it goes. Right now, it's kind of more in a middle ground. But for SPY, we have the triple bottom here, right? And then you get the pop. And then what you want to see before you get to the calls is I'm watching the bearish EMA here on the 5-minute. We ended up seeing that we weren't able to climb over it. So then, okay, then I set the alert here for the lows. Okay, if we could break the lows, break this triple bottom, that's a opportunity to get in a short, probably dated for Monday of next week is how I typically would handle that. We ended up getting defense, not even being able to get to the lows really strong. Okay, buyers are stepping in, sellers seem to be out of the way. They're already out of the market, right? Buyers step in, they climb over the bearish EMA. That is an entry. Boom. So I took the entry. So the mistake is we get the breakout here and then we get like a perfect back test. As soon as this candle turns green right here, second candle turns green, looks like it's going to bounce out. We get some strong there. That's a point to average in. Now, my hotkey, I must have misclicked. Even when I was live in the voice chat, I was calling out, I'm going to average in. And I remember Abraham even called out, oh, Josh is buying more SPY calls again. But I didn't. I actually sold my position. So when it climbed up here and I go to take some profits into the very strong candle here, I always like to take profits into strength like that, especially since premiums love to pump, especially for short-dated premiums on the options. I really didn't have a position. So... Even when we came and averaged in, we still had profits. So, I mean, I closed the position for profits, but again, like the Microsoft, more like break even, not a real big, nothing notable there. We also caught a nice move on Baba and closed those for 75%, had some calls into the earnings. I'm going to be really watching this name to see how it moves in the morning tomorrow. I really want a nice, like, clean pre-market setup from that. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here. Our Unity position is also printing. That's kind of one where you can't take too much size, but it's really strong. And this is actually really important to talk about. This is something I would probably usually talk about in a class, but I'm going to post this to YouTube, so I'll go ahead and talk about it. When a stock really quickly pretty much climbs over its typical ATR, the ATR is the average true range. It shows you how much a stock typically moves in a given day, right? When a stocks that go parabolic like this make people very scared to buy them, right? Oh, it's already gone up so much. How's it going to go up more? That's that's actually the opposite. When the stock starts breaking out of its average true range, you got to think of it in the way of like, oh, it's freed up a bunch of room to run, right? Oh, we've cleared out a bunch of levels. Now it's going to move more easily after it breaks, right? I'm a momentum trader, all right? I love when the relative volume picks up, it creates opportunities, and it very frequently, depending on what catalyst, depending on what's driving the stock, right? You have to be aware of those things on some sort of fundamental basis, can lead to new trends, right? So because it had ran, and I didn't notice this one until very late, because it had ran so much, I played smaller, but it is still a really strong setup. I wouldn't be surprised if the narrative here, the company turning it around, the new management brings this thing back up to the 40s. We've talked about this stock a lot, how it could be a big turnaround story for 2025. I think this earnings might be the kickoff for that. It's going to depend on how well we come in. We might get some retracement tomorrow. The other thing when stocks move very parabolic like this is I watch the 1 minute and I like to see how does the stock react to the first dip. If it's a strong buy off the first dip, it'll likely trend for the rest of the day. So Unity, when I glance at the chart, even though I'm late, how did it react to the first dip? Really strong buy off the first dip, right? So this is something where if you see it bounce pretty perfectly off the EMAs. Okay, you could probably chase that to the upside. Then you go to your 5 minute and you want to hold the trend here, which it pretty much did the whole day. You don't really want to get faked out on moves like this. You want to kind of hold it and let it trend, right? If you're in here off the first like real back test here, it's pretty easy to hold through here. You're still in profits, right? So yeah, that's the other thing. There's a few other plays going up on YouTube. Don't want to give away all the sauce publicly, but I think that's about what I wanted to talk about, what I covered in the first rendition of this. Yeah, it was a good day. Market's this feels like it's getting easy again, which is great, right? It's been a very difficult market for the beginning of this year. And today was beautiful. Setups were pretty easy. I guess the last thing I'll talk about is Black. I really was thinking about buying some calls on this, given that Robinhood beat their earnings estimates for crypto trading by 400%. I thought that would create a pretty good case for the fact that Black would also beat. Ended up not being the case. The stock sold off in the after hours. Again, and I really want to drive this home. It's going to be in the playbook. By the way, I am working on like a bunch of free resources and content and stuff. Just been an odd week, wife got sick. I've been watching the kid and stuff. So my productivity this week has not been what I'd like it to be, but I hope to kind of hit the ground running next week. But what I want to see after a reaction like this, like what I want to see in the pre-market is this stock continue to reach these overbought levels without setting new highs. That'd be really beautiful. So if this thing kind of melts down a little bit more in the pre-market and then comes up and the RSI does something like this, into the open, where you hit the open and it quickly reaches an overbought level, but still setting a lower high, that's like a great reset. I would call that a great reset, where we can look for a short position right off the open or wait for the first candle to see if we can get a front side short, right? First candle red, go ahead, step in with a short, with a stop, at the key level for the pre-market. Depends on what the pre-market looks like. This is the after hours, right? So this is a bunch of unknown. So it's going to be important to wake it up an hour before the market, like I usually do, and seeing how that has developed, right? So that'll be one of the ones I'm watching for like a Friday Lotto. Same with Baba. I think Baba did play good defense today. I think it was relatively far enough away from the volatility within the domestic assets. So I think I want to try and see if they can kind of clear through these levels and maybe hunt for like 150 tomorrow. Depends on how the relative strength is on China. But, a lot of things were very supportive of the market today, especially looking at the VIX. Like the VIX really didn't get that high for how strong that selling was today. So it makes me think that that was OPEX or something. It was a little spooky at the beginning of the day because the financial sector got hit so hard. So it led to me getting kind of conspiratorial even a little bit, wondering if there was some sort of contagion that like smart money sees that the rest of the market isn't quite seeing. I don't think that's the case. Goldman Sachs, it's very rare you actually see sell days this big from them, but it's still clearly like in a bullish trend. If we get a few more brutal days like this, and a larger trend starts to develop, then I'll kind of get cautious. But with the way that the market bought the dip here, still clearly over 6,100, I think we got to come in bullish tomorrow. It was nice to print on some of the short positions. We came in short today, so we not only printed on the scalp trades, but I still do, by the way, have some runners left on some swings for March that I had open. I'm going to leave those runners open and probably just use them as a hedge into the expiration. I might be tempted to close them beginning of next week, but I want to hold them through tomorrow and then hold over the weekend because it is such a volatile market, and you could have mornings like this where there's headlines printing across the tape about more government cuts or something, and the market has like aggressive reactions, right? So yeah, that's about it. I hope you learned something. Hope you all are doing well. And remember these tough times in the market. Like even today, like, on last week's recap, I was talking about how I was feeling really good because I felt like the tough period of the market had kind of shaken my confidence a little bit. And I hadn't really recognized it until yesterday when I was it had like clicked in my head of like what's going on, what's different, why am I having so much slippage in my performance? But then yesterday it felt clicked, and then today like it showed that it clicked. So I'm feeling like really, really good, really confident. Confidence in your trades is key. Confidence in your process is key. Because when that starts to slip, you start to do things you normally wouldn't. You start to have performance you normally wouldn't. And that's the worst thing you can have in a difficult market. You don't want that shaken. So, like cutting the Microsoft immediately, yeah, this printed, but, we took a very small loss when technically we weren't get stopped out till sooner. But my intuition told me that, okay, this is breaking down. And like yesterday, we held the MU for too long, right? It took a bigger loss there than we should have. And then today we cut the Microsoft pretty much at like break. It was like, 4% down or something. This is nothing for an option, right? Not a stock position, option position, nothing. So it was good to get out of that quick. That was like literally the only day trade loser we had. So we had a good win rate, good performance, carry it forward in tomorrow, carry it into next week. Feeling fantastic, impeccable. So I hope you all have a good night. God bless. See you all bright and early. It's Lotto Friday, Payday Friday. Get excited.